Hey everybody, thank you for your patience. My name is Marcus, and what we'll be going over, and really just to set the expectation and maybe even realigning what the expectation was for how you get support after becoming a customer with Odoo. We're gonna go primarily quick today. We'll save the last 5-10 minutes for questions, and yeah, along the way, really hope to be able to add some value or just be able to help out and give them a little bit more clarity in terms of what you actually should expect from Odoo as a customer. This is my contact right here. So if you don't already have a contact at Odoo, or you're just looking into our system, feel free to send me an email. Happy to help out. If you do have a business advisor or a main point of contact already, that person is primarily going to be your main point of contact. So if you have questions or you need support, I'm going to go over it a little bit more in detail, but having that account manager and really building a good relationship with them, that's the best way to go about. So really what we're going to go over today is the 3 levels of support. First level would be your account manager, main point of contact. I'm going to break it down in just a second. And then from there, if you do decide to purchase some of our implementation hours or success packs, I'll explain that process very briefly. Your account manager can help break down the process in more detail. And then from there, if you don't have any type of paid services for support, having a subscription yourself, it does include a couple benefits. So I'll go ahead and break that down as well, just so you're aware of all the resources that you do have. Okay, so the 3 here at Odoo, you will have a main point of contact at all times. So typically the person, maybe somebody else that maybe you signed up, somebody should be reaching out to you, and that's where they have the main point of contact to go ahead and really utilize as your main point here to help out throughout the entire process, from both pre-sales to post-sales. They are in charge of anything related to billing or invoicing, so you can easily send them an email or potentially give them a call, and they'd be able to help you out with that. The second level, more of a success pack. It's the paid service. You do buy in blocks of hours, and I'll go a little bit more in detail, but it's really to help you out with the initial setup so that once you have everything set up, you don't have to necessarily worry about learning the system in more detail. The third level support, completely free. It's the written documentation we have online. So if you like searching things up and reading things online, that's one way to go about it. Otherwise, you have the e-learning platform. You go to odoo.com/slides. You could go ahead and there's structured training for the general foundation of how to navigate through the basics of Odoo. We also have YouTube playlists. It's more of an informal way of looking things up, along with very targeted versions of being able to look up very specific examples on previous demos or specific topics. You just type Odoo and then the topic. We also have a help desk ticketing service. I can explain more when we get there as well. So somebody like your dedicated account manager, I think part of the reason why they asked me to, my hunch is at least, is most of my customers are happy with how I manage their account. So what I'm going to explain today is what you should expect from your account manager, and just to give you a ballpark idea of what it would be like if you do build that good relationship with your account manager. So the way it starts is maybe you sign up or you register, whatever it is, your information is entered into the system, which then gets assigned to a representative or an account manager to be there to really help you out through the evaluation. So this process, it's primarily done through maybe somebody reaches out to you via email, gives you a call. You have to look out for that person because that person is going to be able to help you out throughout your entire evaluation process. So it could be maybe it's scheduling demos, maybe it's sending you relative or related resources that you actually need. So they really tailor the experience of walking you through the process of understanding Odoo better. And then throughout the evaluation, once you become a customer, and I've seen some people where once you sign up, not sure what to do. And I'm not going to explain too much time in the pre-sales process because the whole topic was post-sales, but just to get an idea of what the business advisor does. So let's say you go through a couple demos, or maybe they send over some resources. You want to move forward with Odoo. It doesn't stop there. Your account manager is still going to be with you. So what happens is you get a certain subscription code. Usually after signing the invoice and paying for it, you get a subscription code. You're going to take that code and you're going to go ahead and copy it. And what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and paste it up on the top left as register your subscription. So that banner goes away. So once you have the account, you're good to go. The account manager, again, like I was saying, they actually don't go away. So they're still here. They're actually still here to really be able to manage your account, anything billing related, any type of invoices. One thing to also think about too is if you don't buy the success pack hours to go ahead and go on with the consulting team, like I just flashed at first, it's more of you're going to be relying on the third level support. The account manager, after you become a customer, they actually aren't obligated to be helping you with the database and setting everything up. That's usually done with the consultants or the resources that you have online. So if they do end up helping you, or maybe they offer some free training, that's something that you can obviously you build up your relationship with them, and it's a special favor they'd be doing for you if you already signed up and maybe you still have more technical questions. But yeah, let's go ahead and explain the paid services now. So this is for people maybe you're not very tech savvy, you don't want to constantly look up different information on how to set things up. We do have a paid service. Everything's done in-house. So depending on where you're located, it's going to be I'm based in San Francisco. So if you're on the West Coast, usually done by time zone, you'd be assigned to somebody in the same time zone or a similar time zone. But of course, there are exceptions that can be made. Me as an account manager, what I do is after one of my clients does decide to move forward with Odoo, I actually go in and I try to find them the right point of contact who might be a good fit or maybe have previous experience working with similar projects to really make sure that they're set up for success. And really the idea here is after somebody does get signed up, let's say you go ahead and sign the quote, you're all ready to go. Lead time, about 2 to 3 weeks. It's about 14 business days. Really depends how busy things are, and also there's a couple different factors, but the average wait time is about 2 to 3 weeks for somebody to be assigned. Once you're assigned, you do have meetings with them once or twice a week, and really the idea here is when you buy those hours, it's like a chunk of hours that you go ahead and purchase for support. Anytime the consultant is working on those hours, it will be billed against the hours. I've talked to people, and it really depends on the complexity and how prompt you are with getting information back to the consultant after moving forward with this. But average lead time, based on all the statistics, is about 3 months. So 3 months, you should have a system set up. Now, if you have slightly more complex workflows, or it's just not something where you were able to dedicate enough time to, that's where it could take a little bit longer. And really, at the end of the day, it's all about teamwork here. You would have a single point of contact. So somebody on your side would be in charge of going in and meeting with the consultant once or twice a week. This consultant is your main point of contact for implementation. So they're going to be talking back to one of your advisors like myself. They're going to be talking to engineers. They're going to be talking to other colleagues to really help with the project. So it's it's really an estimate at the end of the day on how many hours it would take to really get your project set up and having Odoo set up completely. There are things that could go wrong, or things that there might be some humps in the road. It's not a perfect system. But that's the beauty of Odoo. It's not actually set to be cookie cutter for every single business, and that's where part of the collaboration comes into play. So probably expect maybe one block here and there of a variable at least. And really what they do is they really sit down with you and they analyze every single step and really understand the foundation or the whole idea of how you actually work and get things done. So a lot of times people will ask like, hey, well, why can't we get things set up and running right away? It takes time to really understand your situation and really get on a granular level in terms of what you actually do as a business. And I'm sure you have new hires that still don't know the processes. Same thing with the consultants. They actually need to sit down and really analyze things and really make sure that they understand what you do as a business so that they can tailor those workflows and set it up, almost replicate it, or maybe improve the specific workflow within Odoo so that when you do have our system, you're up in here, you're using our system, it's very comparable to how you do things now, and maybe even improve some of the workflows that you have. The second part is, so after really setting certain information up, maybe it's exporting information out of your system now and importing into Odoo. It doesn't get set up right away. There's still configurations that the consultant needs to do. And during that process, you're still going to have your existing system. It's still going to be up and running. You're going to have it in parallel up until the point where we test and validate every single workflow within Odoo. That's when you go ahead and drop the subscription for whichever other software that you're currently using. So one thing to think about it, and it kind of goes in a phase where first let's go ahead and get the requirements. Let's go ahead and export it out of your system, import it into our system. We do the setup. We test out a certain workflow. We actually let you as the client test out that workflow and confirm and validate it to make sure that it's actually in par with how you do things, and either improves the workflow or it replicates the workflow in terms of how you do things now. And then from there, that's when they go live with that one phase. So it's not like we're setting up multiple things at once. There have been special cases where that happens, but majority of the time we set up one piece at a time. Usually starts with the basics and slowly adding on the more complex workflows as you go. And once everything is set up, then that's where it's like, okay, maybe you still need a little bit more help with training, or maybe you have other specs that you want to go ahead and submit. That's when the second phases start to happen for implementation. So yeah, I heard this was a really popular topic for, I guess, understanding how things work. And yeah, just hopefully this does help with realigning the expectations you had initially versus the expectations that you have after this call. And what I've seen before, at least for most businesses, is if you're replacing the full suite, maybe the CRM, sales, purchasing, inventory, accounting, those all in together for full implementation is close to around the 100-hour mark for full setup. And this is the hand-holding process that I just explained. If you have more modules or you have more complex workflows, that's when it gets closer to the 200-hour mark. But on average, for full implementation, to really making sure that you have everything set up, and you can kind of gauge it based off the number of modules that you actually use. But yeah, just on the average that I've seen, it's usually between the 100 and 200 hour for full implementation. Now, I have seen some use cases where maybe the customer, like yourself, is very tech savvy and you feel like you could set things up on your own. That's where we're going to go ahead and start talking about the third level of support. But also knowing that, like, hey, these blocks of hours, they are initially discounted. Hence, the new customers get 15% off. The returning customers, it's going to be the standard pricing. So the initial pack that you buy and the estimate that your a business advisor does give you, it is advised to take advantage of that now, just so you wouldn't run out of hours. And it's really so that if you do need a repurchase, you could actually go ahead and you would still keep the discount rather than having to buy more later at full price. So that's really why they give you those estimates. But like I was saying, there's actually a hybrid approach. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're really tech savvy, you're open to reading up on different resources online, you're open to reading up on documentation, maybe testing out flows on your own. That's when you could go with a hybrid approach, where I'll explain the third level of resources now. So maybe you have a full-on business model that you want to go ahead and set up, but you don't necessarily want to go ahead and you don't have the budget to go ahead and invest in full implementation. You could potentially do a hybrid approach where you are reading up on the documentation, you're reading up on and watching videos, and you lean on the consultants more for support rather than them actually helping and hand-holding you through that process of setting everything up. So this is what I'm talking about in terms of support. The third level, that's free, absolutely free. Don't have to pay anything extra. There's the emergency hotline. So if you want to give a call, it's 24/5. Same with the emails. If you want to submit a ticket, you can actually submit a ticket at odoo.com/help. And some people, if they want to go ahead and they want to ask functional questions in terms of setup, you could get away with some of the very general functionality setup, at least for maybe you have a couple general questions. You could submit a ticket. They usually get back, and depending on the complexity, 24, 48 hours. But if it's more complex error, they do spend more time analyzing it, and may take a little bit longer. But yeah, you should expect a response relatively soon. Obviously, there are more variables, and nothing's ever perfect as is. But usually that's the way to go. You can submit a couple tickets for functional. It does get to the point where it's like, all right, you do need to, we recommend you purchase a success pack to help out if you can't utilize the resources that we have. And that would be the training material that I'm going to talk about. One other thing actually too is, along with all these resources that we have online, Odoo also has very, very tight with security. If you go to odoo.com/security, you can probably look more on there. You also look up our SLA. We have over 99% uptime. We also have backups. So depending on which region you're from, we have the backups located somewhere nearby in a similar region. But let's go ahead and explain the training materials. And this is the sheet that I usually like, or slide that I usually have. I'll ask our marketing to go ahead and put the links of everything I'm talking about, maybe in the description below, or have it somewhere so you can actually access it. You can also ask your business advisor for this information. They should have it available as well. But like what I was saying, you have the written documentation, you have the e-learning, you have the help forums, and even the implementation guide when it comes to actually setting the system up. So we have all that here, and if you are interested in the implementation, we've done thousands of projects over the years, since 2005, since we've been here really. So yeah, if you're interested in that and you want to, if you're uncertain about how we do things with videos, another thing to note too is a lot of things are done virtually. You do have the option to do on-site if you want to pay for the consultant's hotel, travel. It ends up being more expensive, so usually we recommend screen shares. That's usually how we do most of our implementations, and we have a proven process that we've iterated over time. So yeah, if you have questions, I'll kind of leave the floor up to Q&A right now. So we'll go ahead, have the questions on, spend the last 10 minutes or so just going over the Q&A, and yeah, and we can wrap it up from there. Again, if you have any questions, let's say, I know some common questions are, you can't get a hold of maybe your account manager now, and people do try to start calling our main line, or asking for more support, or asking billing related questions. Usually when you call, it is redirected over to your main point of contact, and that's why it's so important to really build that relationship with your main point of contact. My recommendation is to really cultivate that relationship and making sure everybody's on the same page, so you're not left in the dust with not having somebody to reach out to, and you don't know who your main point of contact is, and you're calling and calling and not getting anywhere. Let's see. Another one is setting up databases. So a lot of people will ask if business advisors can actually get in your database, help you make changes. We actually cannot get into your database, but what happens is usually maybe if you submit a support ticket, they do have access to go ahead, but we aren't allowed to actually make changes to your system. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and wait for some of the questions to start to come in now. But yeah, most of the time, documentation, resources online, that's the best way to really get all the support up until you do need the success pack if absolutely needed. And if you are evaluating right now and you'd like to have me as your account manager, I would love to help you. Send me a quick email. We could talk about some of the requirements that you have, some of the workflows, what's going on, and yeah, they could really see how I can help. Typically, I like helping my clients commit to something longer term, primarily because at the end of the day, we aren't trying to switch business softwares back and forth all the time. It's like just spends too much time to try to switch system to system, and we're really here to help you long term, and we're here to really stick with you for the long run at least. But yeah, still waiting for questions to come in right now. Let me go ahead and see if I can pull any up. Okay. Don't see any questions coming in. Um, Not sure if there's any coming in now, but yeah, if you have the account manager, go ahead and reach out to them. They'll be happy to help. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining.